guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Kind of felt like saying good morning, church, but I don't know why it's not even Sunday. So here we go. Today we're going to make an Italian wedding soup, and it's one that I really like. From start to finish, hour and a half tops. Okay, the work that you put into it is probably 30 minutes, if that, maybe 20. And so in this, I've gone ahead and started a bit before you joined us. In this I have a pound of ground chicken, and I also have a pound of turkey, ground turkey I should say, and it's a ground turkey Italian sausage. Also in this, I have 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of milk, I have a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper. You can also add red pepper flakes if you like. That's actually really good in it. But because I have mild Italian turkey sausage, I'm not going to add that. I'm not quite sure what the seasoning is in the turkey. And I also have a 1/4 cup of fresh grated Parmesan cheese. I highly recommend that you guys try the fresh grated Parmesan cheese rather than the canister stuff. You use far less of it, and the flavor is just so much better. The other thing that we added to this is Pecorino cheese, and this is it here. So I'm going to finish grating the Pecorino in here, and this is also calls for a 1/4 cup. Okay, there we go. So we have our cheese in there. The recipe is going to be down below, so please give this a try. You're absolutely going to love it. So the other thing we add in this is, I've already chopped these things up, okay, just so you know. Chop this up anyway, the parsley. This here is about a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. And I did that ahead of time, fresh parsley. And it also calls for some garlic. Now, I was lazy and didn't do that ahead of time, but what I like to do with my garlic is actually use a rasp and grate it in. It just saves you a lot of time, and the flavor tends to be more intense, to be honest with you. So I'm going to do, I think, maybe 2 or 3 cloves of this garlic in the rasp, with the rasp, I should say. And 1 more. They're very tiny, so. Last year I did my own garlic for the first time, and they were huge. Planted some in my garden, and now I'm hooked. So this year I put 60 bulbs down, or last year I put 60 bulbs down for this year. So I'm excited. There it is, people. That's it. It's that simple. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to bring this all together with my hands and mix it all in really nicely. Ooh, there. The milk and egg that we put in will moisten up the 2/3 cup of bread, fresh bread that we put in there. And I cut it into about 1/4-inch pieces, 1/2-inch pieces. And that's it. It's that simple. People actually think that with meatballs, the less you work it, the better it is. It's really the opposite. Some people will, if you want to make a really good meatball, put it on your stand mixer. Put this on your stand mixer and just whip the heck out of it. And it makes them really soft and moist. So, because ours are going to be cooking in a broth, we don't have to worry about that. This is my cookie sheet that's lined. I have a little scoop here. So, they don't have to be perfect. Matter of fact, they look kind of cute, not being perfect. And you're just going to do this. We're going to put all of these on here and throw them in the oven. And for, let's say 30 minutes, I think it's about 30 minutes at 350, and they will be beautiful, and they will go in the soup. So let's come back when I've got these meatballs all on the tray. See you soon. Okay, everyone, so we're back. I did the meatballs. As you can see, I'm not too particular with them. So we're gonna pop these in the oven for 30 minutes, and then we're gonna start on the soup base for it. Okay, so just do this and this, and let's start on the soup base. So the things we're going to need for the soup bit to get ready before we go to the stove are, I've chopped some of this up already. But we're going to need a cup of yellow onion, and just give it not a super fine chop, but you know, you want to be able to have a little bit of onion in each spoonful, right? So I've cut, like I said, that up already. Now we're just going to do this one, the rest of it. So this was about a medium-sized onion. I really like onion, so I'm not too particular about whether it's a cup exactly or not. It's no big deal if it's a little more or a little less. Okay, so pretty much there. That's fine enough, I think. So we'll throw this in with the rest of our onion. Next we have celery. So celery, you're going to need 3/4 of a cup of the celery. I actually use the flowers on the celery, or the leaves on the celery as well, and I really like the flavor of it. It's actually a little bit stronger. If you don't like the leaves, save them and put them in the freezer and use them in your stews, or you know, that sort of thing, and where you don't need, the flavor won't be so intense. But the leaves are really a great flavor. Real simple. Again, keep this here to a half decent sized chop, okay? Not super, not big at all. Here we are. I've got these mostly done as well. So we're just going to do the carrots the exact same, maybe to about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch cut, okay? So keep it simple. Here we go, carrots. Carrots are up next. Here we are. Pretty straightforward. So now we're going to move to the stove and we're going to start cooking. Okay guys, so here we are, we're at the stove and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here. I guess that's about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put the stove up quite high actually, and really get this going fast. This comes together, I think earlier I may have said that this soup takes about an hour and a half. I would say probably more like an hour from start to finish, so there's no way it's going to be an hour and a half. So we have our olive oil in our pan. You could probably use whatever oil you like, but I like to use olive oil a lot, especially in Italian cooking. And to that we're going to add our 1 cup of chopped onions and our 3/4 of a cup of chopped celery. Okay, don't want to waste any of that. And our 1 cup of carrot, very finely chopped as well, or medium dice I would say. And we're going to get this going, and this is going to go now for about, I would say, 5 to 6 minutes until it all starts to soften up. And this here, I may have mentioned, I'm not sure, but this is a recipe from Ina Garten, and I love her recipes. So if you wanted to look at some of her other stuff, check her out. I'll put the recipe, as I said, down below for you to look at. So 5 to 6 minutes. So guys, here we are. That's looking pretty good. There's not a whole lot of oil left in the bottom, as you can see. That's why I like to use not use a whole bunch of it. And to this now, we're going to add 10 cups of chicken broth. I often like to do my own chicken broth when I buy some, if I buy chickens from around here locally that I know are organic. So that's 2 cups, so it's 10 cups. Each of these containers holds 4. 4. Okay, let me just throw this in. There we go, that's 8. I'm going to turn the heat up to high again because I want to bring this to a boil. So, and I need 2 more cups. So I have 8 in there now. And there we go. So there is our 10 cups of chicken broth. Now to enhance that flavor, I don't know if you have this or not, but I buy this at Costco and some of the other stores carry it as well, but you can get it so much cheaper at Costco. It's the bouillon and it's organic. I always throw about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of this in to sort of amp up the chicken flavor a bit. And this is incredible. For your gravies, for anything, I highly recommend this stuff. Okay. So, I'm going to stir that around and get that goodness all off that spoon. So, now comes the really good stuff. So you add a dry wine to this, a dry white wine, a half a cup. If you don't want to add that, that's totally fine. What you can add is just maybe a tablespoon of white wine vinegar. But this does add a different depth of flavor. So we're going to just add only a half a cup of this dry white wine to our broth. And let's make sure we get it right. There's the half a cup of dry white wine. The recipe calls for fresh dill. Unfortunately, I don't have any fresh. And so we're just going to use, let's say, how about a tablespoon of dried. So, believe it or not, this here is a good part of our soup right here. It's pretty much done. We're waiting for our meatballs to come out of the oven, right? And we're going to have to add pasta. Now, it says to use a very tiny pasta. I don't have a tiny pasta, but what I do have is the small broad noodles, or the large ones. I'm going to break these up into pieces, and I'll put this here in as well. So let's bring this to the boil first. Okay. So we have a nice boil now to the basis for our broth. So to this, we're going to add you can see I have egg noodles here that I just snapped it with my fingers and crunched up in my hand to be smaller because I didn't have any small pasta. But this here is going to work just perfectly. Okay, so we're going to put that in. Then we're also going to add about a teaspoon and a half of salt. Okay, don't go overboard like with the salt, like too much, because we're going to add grated Parmesan cheese on top of the soup when you serve it, and that's also going to add a little bit of salt. Plus, there's the cheese in the meatballs and the salt in the meatballs and that flavor is going to go into the soup as well. So we've added our broth, our pasta. Now we're going to wait about 6 minutes, and that should be cooked, and we'll come back and add the finishing touches. So we're back. We've had our 6 minutes of this boiling, the pasta boiling. At this point, I just want to try it to make sure that the seasoning is correct with the salt. Oh, that tastes pretty good. That tastes pretty good. So here next, we're going to add a large container of baby spinach. It's this one here is 10 ounces. So we're going to throw the spinach in. This spinach is already triple washed, so it kind of saves you the trouble of having to do it. If you're using fresh spinach from your garden or whatever, of course you know this, but you have to make sure that it's washed and nice and clean. Flat spinach is so much easier to clean if you grow it in your garden. Okay, there we go. And now to this, we're going to add our meatballs. These look amazing, I think. They're not perfectly shaped, but that's totally fine. So let's throw our meatballs all in there. And we're going to give this one final stir. And we're going to let it cook down now for about another, of course, as you know, spinach cooks real quick. So it just needs about another minute, and that is it. So when you serve this up, make sure that you serve it up with some fresh grated Parmesan on top, or a sprinkle of Parmesan from the can, whatever you have at home. And I think you'll really enjoy this. So there we have it, our Italian wedding soup. Recipe is below. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please subscribe below, and God bless.